There's some more work to be done on some of those saloon and galley panels, which I am getting done as I'm epoxy coating them. Shortly I'll put on the second coat as well as do all the edges. So I'm getting through the panels. It is a lengthy process. I'll need to have penetrations where the doors will be. I've just set up the panels here from the galley just to try and work out exactly where I want the penetrations.
This is as good a day as any to start the rebuilding of life. The roads that lay open are many when the old one's gone under the knife. And I can feel the sun on my skin, beginning to thaw from within. Today and not tomorrow.
So here I am, mid coating all of these parts with the epoxy, and I'm halfway through. So at the moment each have had their first coats on each side, and as you've seen I've just sanded one of the faces in preparation for shortly I'll put on the second coat, as well as put the first coat onto all of the edges. And what I've got here is 11 parts. There's sort of parts everywhere actually. It's about the limit for having enough space to put things and get them all painted with the one batch of epoxy. And I'm really pleased. There's quite a mix of parts here, and once they're coated, installing them is going to be a lot of fun. I'm definitely looking forward to that.
There's no time to borrow. Today is a good day to live. This morning has so clear a light as any to see the horizon in the far. Excuses were 2 for a penny, but they've all gone out the window of this car. And when I feel the wind on my face, all that ever was is a wreck.
So I'm getting through the panels. They're coming along well, but it is a lengthy process getting paint on both surfaces and the edges. I've sanded them back just now, as you've seen, and that should be the last time, and it should be the last coat on the last face. There is something else I need to do though. With regards to the cabinets in the galley, I'll need to have penetrations where the doors will be so that I can get into them. So what I'm going to be doing next is, before I actually wipe them down to give them the final coat, is I'm going to have a good think about the size of the doorways that I want and exactly where I want them. It might sound pretty straightforward, but not so easy because I don't really want doors on everything. I really want to keep it to doors where they're going to be required, and where one door opening can give access to 2 spaces, then that's what I'll be doing. So I'm just going to give that a bit of a thought, and I'm going to mark them out and see what they look like. So I've just set up the panels here from the galley just to try and work out exactly where I want the penetrations, so that when the doors are opened I have good access to all the spaces behind these panels. As you can see, I have the panel here on your left, my right, which will run fore aft, and this space here, the penetration cutout, is where the gimbaled stove will go. This panel here is running athwartships, and there'll be bench space here. On this right hand side of that section there will be one sink. There'll be another sink on this side, and then the remainder here will be bench space. And of course there's an end panel here, and then that somewhat fancy end panel here for both the galley and the saloon. So just looking at it, one thing that I need to keep in mind is the fact that obviously this is a galley for a boat. In other words, boats move continually when they're on the water, so I don't really want to have open spaces everywhere. I want to be able to leave the panels sectioning off the areas so that when you stow gear there, it stays there. So what I'll be doing is there'll be a door here. I'm going to have that one opening this way so that when you're standing on this side of the galley, when that door's open there, it's not interfering your access here, and you'll be able to go through two penetrations here. This space here will be sectioned off. The other thing that I'll be doing, of course, is having a shelf roughly along the middle of each section so that there's an upper and a lower space. And then, so for example, in this space here, you'll easily be able to put an arm in, even your head for that matter, and get into this whole space here. The same for the lower section. This panel here, again, I'll have two penetrations and then a door opening this way. This door here, likewise, I'll have the door opening this way so that it doesn't interfere this side here when you're trying to access those spaces. To explain the reason why I'm going to have two penetrations, the reason for that is because I want to leave support in the panels themselves so that they don't warp, at the very least, before they get installed. Once they get installed and they're glued and screwed to each other, that will hold them fairly stable. However, I think it's a good idea to leave a section in the middle just to help stiffen that panel over time, and then the door will actually be external to the panel over those two penetrations. So what I'll do now is get the pencil, ruler and tape measure, mark out those penetrations, see what they look like before I give these panels their final coat of epoxy coating.
Out and to roam, there is no perception of a home. For when it's all been said and done, I know how to act when nothing's what it seems for a while.
So here we are, the three panels with their penetrations drawn up for the cabinet door access. Each one is slightly a different size as compared, and that's just to accommodate exactly where they are and the sizes of each panel. So I'm happy with that. I've put a bit of time inside a Mistress just now with a couple of these panels, and I think this will work out okay. As I said, I don't want to take out the whole space because I just think that having a bit left in the middle there will just help keep those panels together over time. It also doubles up as just a little sill edge to stop things falling out when you open the doors. Something else somebody or two might have wondered is, where's the cutlery drawer? Well, my idea is not to have the cutlery in a drawer. I actually think they ask for a bit of trouble, especially when in a seaway. So what I'll be doing with the cutlery is they'll be stored at bench height in behind one of the overheads as such, and in a secure place. The plan now is to just drill some holes and use the jigsaw to take off those corners, but otherwise leave those pieces in place, again just so that they stay and hold their shape before they get mounted. Once they are mounted, I'll then just need to get the jigsaw, drop it into the slot where I've cut around those corners, and just on the straight edges take them out to remove those, sand them, and then put some epoxy on them. They'll be stiffened up on the edges with some lovely rosewood, and so that'll help. Also, just to mention, as you've seen me using this yogurt container as a radius for my corners, you can buy different purpose designed tools that have, you know, different sizes of arcs, etc., or even use a compass to do your arcs to get your radiuses. That is an even circle, and it's a nice firm base, and I find it's easy to just be able to put my hand on it to hold it still and trace around it, and there's no having to readjust the compass or any of those sorts of things. So that's my little trusty shape to get my corners.
All I see is perfect shadows all around. And no, there's no room for one-track minds anymore. I'm reading on the book of my own life, and to a point the surface is alive. When I feel warm inside my stolen heart, I come to terms with making a new start.
And just to point out a couple of other things, as you'll see, there's a distance between the top of the cabinet and the top of the penetration for the cupboard, and it's the same with the bottom here. There's a bit of a distance there. This is actually 175 millimeters, and this is actually 160 millimeters. The reason for those is the sink will be above these cabinets, and so the sink is 160 millimeters deep, so obviously there's no point in having this opening go above that line because the sink is there. Then down at the bottom here, there's not enough room really for smaller boats like Mistress in order to be able to have a kicker plinth board, so that distance there is just to allow for your feet knocking into the cupboards, and just lifts the bottom of the access into the cupboard space up a little bit so that it's well above where your feet would be down the bottom there. Another thing to mention is things are never just straightforward cuts, as you can see here between these two panels, which don't go together, they're just together while I'm explaining this. But this one's got a bit of a double notch here, that's to fit into the cleats. I've got this little notch here which is where one of the frames comes down, and this has to sit over that. There's another little notch there, and you know, it's all just about getting it to fit horizontal and square. Another one here, and that's to go over where I have a cleat coming in there. I made little router notches where the weld is on the cleat on the whole floors so that the panel can butt right up hard against the cleats. And here's an example of where the shelving would go. This is just a little bit of strip to make the point. So this will be the penetration where the door will go and shut all that off, and it will come up to about here, which means I have this distance between the bottom of the penetration and the shelf to stop things falling out. So there's all sorts of considerations that I need to have in mind in order to get things right, so that once it's all put back in, screwed and glued together, that everything is exactly where I want it. I'm trying to think things in advance. Fingers crossed that I'm getting it. Also, over the past week behind the scenes, I've been getting quotes for the water tanks and also squaring away my ideas for the fridge freezer. So, join me in the next episode, everybody, where all of those good galley and saloon parts go back in. You beauty! Please like, subscribe, hit that bell and share. I'd really appreciate that.